Hey everybody, welcome to the Otherz Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Penny. Joining me, as always, it's Rafa. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How was your Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, it was pretty good, pretty chill. Just at home with Christmas. I was with some friends and the little one. And then New Year's Eve, me, and my woman decided to just stay at home, chilling with the kid, taking some photos, trying to eat, and it was good. How about you,
I don't
man?
know if I don't know if she's going to appreciate you calling her my woman, but we know what you mean.
Yeah, my baby mama.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll appreciate that even
That's
more.
better.
Yeah. Yes, mine was good, thank you. I spent Christmas in London. I was back there for a week. I saw some family and chilled out and ate and drank an obscene amount. And then, yeah, it was good, to be fair. It was good. And then, yeah, the second week over New Year and stuff, I was still off work and just had a week of doing absolutely nothing. Just, sleeping 12 hours a night, which I know you can only dream of at the moment. You'll get there one day, though. You'll get there one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a fairly chilled one, which has been good. And yeah, hopefully everyone out there listening also had a good Christmas and good New Year. And if you don't celebrate any of those, hopefully you still had some time off work and enjoyed yourself anyway.
Yeah. That's good.
All right, so we've been away for a little while. We've had plenty of bits and pieces going on over the last sort of number of weeks. So we've got 2 tracks to go through today because we had sort of a couple of new videos out over the Christmas period. So I thought we can go through them quite quickly today. And then we've also got a bunch of news as well at the end of some of the key things from the last few weeks. So the 2 tracks we've got, we're right up to date here, and it's the latest Clipse tracks and videos. So we've got F.I.C.O and P.O.V. I guess we should start in order. So I guess we start with F.I.C.O, shall we?
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. All right. So obviously we're not going to have all the facts and whatnot and figures because obviously the videos and tracks haven't been out all that long. But some basic stuff. F.I.C.O featuring Stove God Cooks, a video directed by Hanan Hussein and released on the 12th of November 2025. I think in our last episode we briefly mentioned this because it may have just come out, I think, but we didn't talk about it at all. So this is a good sort of opportunity to go through it in a little bit more detail. Now, I think personally this is one of the best tracks off of the album, but I did not think that at first. This one's grown on me a lot.
Yeah, I don't think I had that problem because I still haven't decided which one is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I
but
don't know
it's
if
up
this
there
is
for her.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is my favorite, but it's definitely up there as one of them. And I think, there's 2 main reasons for that. One is just like the detailed kind of storytelling you get throughout this track, which really kind of almost puts you in that place that they're talking about at that time. And then also the hook, which again, I wasn't a massive fan of when I first listened to this track. And now I know of Stove God Cooks. I couldn't have named you one of his songs prior to like this album coming out. I wasn't like, a big sort of fan or anything. And yeah, it took a bit of getting used to, but now I'd probably say off the top of my head, probably my favorite hook on the album.
Truly. Yeah, I also can say that. And one thing that I like about the hook is like you can clearly hear Pharrell's writing on it. Like you can almost hear Pharrell singing the same, same cadence and everything, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure he had some input into it there as well. We'll get onto the hook a bit more later, but starting with the track itself and the video itself, maybe I should mention one thing because I know we do have listeners that aren't in the US, and like FICO and a FICO score is a very US centric thing. So I guess all countries have, you have a credit score of some kind. I think in most countries, they're not as, obsessed with it and tied to it as they are in America, where like, every person I think in that country knows what their credit score is and they have to monitor it and work to make it better. It doesn't work like that in the rest of the world. But yeah,
Yeah.
FICO score is basically a score that helps, banks and things, assess your credit risk and the higher the score you have, like the more credit you can get on a loan or a credit card or a mortgage, and more money you can borrow. And then in terms of this track, they switch that, I think, to make it show their credit worthiness in their previous profession in the drug game.
Yeah, nice. But wasn't it also kind of a law? Isn't FICO a law that the government use it to arrest,
I
especially
think
a
you're
lot of rappers?
RICO. That's RICO.
That's right.
Close.
Sorry,
Close.
sorry. Is the dead brain
You just
hitting?
one letter out. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, truly. Sorry.
Yeah, that's RICO laws. Yeah, that they use to arrest certain people, and as you say, certain rappers in the past and label executives and things. Yes, so yes, that is what a FICO score is. And then talking sort of about the video, and again, we won't go into massive detail because we've got a couple here to discuss, but it goes along the same lines as the other videos that we've seen so far. A very similar kind of dark and gritty aesthetic, I guess. And then we see Pusha, Mal. What do you refer to him as? Stove? Mr.
Yeah,
Cooks? I don't know. I don't want to say Stove God Cooks every time because it's a bit too long. Terrible name, by the way. Terrible name. But we see them, the gentlemen, in a number of kind of, I don't know, grim environments. The track starts off talking about, pissy hallways. And we see them in the hallways of, these kind of almost abandoned apartment buildings, these different areas that are sort of similar to what's being described in the track. But then at the same time, also sort of noticed, and I put in the notes, it's kind of flipped at the same time because we see Pusha and Mal in the back of a car at some point. Now, I kind of initially, before I sat down and watched the video again properly, put a chauffeur-driven car, and it's not they're in the back of a car, which is obviously being driven by somebody, but it's not a fancy car. It looks like a very basic kind of Honda Accord type car that you would, that they would use back in the day, maybe to transport some of the things that they're selling, which they also talk about in the.
yeah,
Gives that sort of, it does give the impression of them being sort of chauffeur driven, which shows, while they're still involved to a certain degree in those things in their past, and they're not scared to kind of, talk about them, get involved in them and things like that. It shows that they've moved on a little bit, should we say.
yeah, truly.
They're now grown-ups.
Yeah, and I love how, because every time that I hear this track, I always think about the previous album, Hell Had No Fury. How sorry, the Casket's Clothes, because on that album, I felt like they already moved on and they were already grown ups. And this new album is like established, like, oh, we really like this. Like we grown up, we moved on, we better, we evolved, and y'all guys, everybody else is behind us.
I think the problem with Till the Casket Drops is that I think they were maybe nudged in the direction to not talk quite so much about drugs and their past life, which I
Yeah,
think is why it's more of it's obviously still a hip hop album, but it's a little bit more sort of poppy. It's not as dark as all the other albums.
yeah,
I
truly.
even I saw a video of them the other day doing kind of questions to each other. It might have been a GQ video maybe, and it was like brotherly questions or some weird setup like that. And they talked about what Pusha's favorite track was maybe, and then Malice also sort of said, oh, and I know what your least favorite is, and it was like All Eyes on Me from that album. And Pusha was just like, oh yeah, like you could tell that's why he definitely won't be performing anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you think about that album, like, is where hip hop was going towards, right? Like Drake was starting to come in out the era, B.O.B, all those guys, like very polished type of
Yes.
hip hop. Disgusting.
Yeah. Foul. The Clipse still did all right with it though, to be fair.
Truly.
Yes. But yeah, we see here that they're as we say, they've kind of, grown up. They talk about those past times in quite good detail. And as I said earlier, it makes you feel like you're kind of almost there, the way they sort of describe it and talk about it. But what I really sort of liked in the first verse, as we get into some of the actual sort of lyrics and stuff here, is just within a matter of bars, Pusha goes from pissy hallways to then dance music on my neck, where's the water bottle, diamonds the light show, looking like the sun in the club. So he's gone from pissy hallways to just like, I've got all the diamonds in the world now. This is where I'm
Yeah,
at in life. That's how fast it's kind of happened.
yeah, truly. Yeah, no, I didn't think about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love how this video completely does that all the time. Like, it's extensive of the lyrics and vice versa.
Yeah, and I've got in the notes here, there's just too much wordplay to go through in this track. I was going through all the lyrics and trying to pick out bits and pieces, and like I had to limit myself just to like that one that I just mentioned, and obviously the hook that we'll talk about in a bit. Just because there were just so many you could like delve into and dissect and go through, and there just isn't enough time on the planet to do that because there's just so much good stuff in here.
Yeah, truly. And another thing that I like about the video, while you hear the lyrics, it's like it feels a little bit like a documentary, you know? Like they are saying all those things and kind of showing to you, you know? It's like it gives more, I don't know, ability is the word, you know? Like, oh, I always believe the Clipse used to do what they always telling they used to do, but this video is kind of like, oh, I can see it, you know.
Yeah, it sort of really spells out the detail of the stuff that they've done and what they've sort of been through, and like you say, sort of adds that sort of air of credibility to the things that they're talking about, and obviously the visuals kind of back that up. There's also the kind of part that I haven't got in the notes, but kind of ties in where we see Pusher in the back of the car, and then we see, I believe it's Stove God Cooks, call him that. He bundles some other person into the boot of the car. So
Yeah,
again, it's tying into that, we used to do this kind of thing. We would, put people in the back of the car and do whatever with
yeah,
them, who knows what, and we won't guess what they've been up to in the past. But then it kind of also flips it and it shows, Pusher in the back of the car, Malice in the back of the car, like, not getting their hands dirty. They've got somebody outside the car now doing that kind of dirty work for them. Although they're kind of still involved, they're not actually doing the real dirty work. They don't need to. They're the ones in the back of the
yeah,
car being driven now.
yeah, exactly. They are the boss now.
Yes. But I did also like the in Pusher's verse talking about the driving of the car, even like the little details like, the positioning of his hands on the steering wheel, making it look like, as they go through the turnpike, they're not drawing attention to themselves, playing it dumb, all that kind of thing. It really, like you say, adds to that or lends to the additional kind of credibility of the stories that they tell in a lot of their tracks, especially on this album.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. Like in sometimes when I see like they talking, no, like I listen pushing on interviews talking about how they definitely are going to make more albums because they have more to say and it's going to be even better. Like, wow, how? I can't wait. I'm also like, I'm not in a rush to the next album, but also like really, really anxious to hear and see what they are going to cook.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Over the stove. Yeah, I'm intrigued because I sort of wonder where they go from this, because this is really like this is really sort of thrown back to their roots. It's a very dark album. It sounds a lot like Hell Have No Fury in certain areas, and they think it's their best album. I think most people out there now consider it their best album. They've been talking about, they've been criticized for this in the past, just always talking about drugs and, coke rap. But it's like, where do they go now? Like,
Yeah.
what other stories do they have to kind of tell us, and how are they going to tell them? Because we don't really want to go back to Till the Casket Drops,
Yeah.
where it's all like fast money, fast cars, women. We don't
Mm.
necessarily need or want to hear that. They're both adults with kids and wives, and congrats to Pusher, another baby on the way.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, where do they really go from here? So I'd be interested to to see that. And interested as well to know like what their deal is with Rock Nation, whether this was just a one album deal just to get this out after the Def Jam sort of fiasco, or whether they did sign something a bit more longer term. Because I don't think we really heard what the terms of the deal were. Did they sign a 2 or 3 year album deal like most sort of artists tend to do? Or was this just a kind of special, one off? And will they then move somewhere else again? Or will they stay with Rock Nation? How will they ever be able to top the rollout of this album that we've just seen over the last year or so?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I imagine that too. Especially, yeah, because one thing that I thought that this album is going to be like from Malice, like I thought Malice is going to be referring religion and the Bible way more than he did on the album, and that was kind of surprising for me, and I feel kind of a relief because I didn't want to hear Malice being I don't know, too religious. But at the same time, after hearing the album, and it's totally the opposite. Sometimes it's totally the opposite. Like you fear Malice, like you hear the lyrics and like, oh, calm down, Malice. Like I can hear this album on the dark because I got afraid, you know.
He is the darker of the pair of them as well.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I love how everything about this album rollout is so good because even seeing Malice becoming a meme with it, that with his face and expressions, the way he look at people, just like, so even that is amazing. But I think for the next album, I would love to see he being more religious about it, like talking more like how Malice would do this, like how Malice would put more religion and God and spiritual what is the word? Spiritualism? Spirituality, thank you. How he will put more of those things on the next album and still doing on his level, on the level that he does, that is so good. So I would love to see that.
I would recommend going back and listening to Hear Ye Him, his solo album. I did that a little while back. We did the interview with Mike Etheridge and we mentioned that album. So obviously Mike produced one of the tracks on it. And I'd gone back then and I'd sort of listened to it again. And it's a much better album than I remember it being. Although it is, it is driven by, his refinding of religion and God and stuff like that. It's still a really good album. It's still Malice, just, spitting brilliant bars.
Yeah, with amazing flow.
Yes. So yeah, I'd recommend going back and listening to that, and that may give you the fix that you need for the time being.
Nice. I will do that if I have time.
Yeah, exactly. But you can play. There's no harm in. That's a child-friendly album.
Yeah,
I don't think Malice swears in it, so you could play that with the child. Introduce her early.
That is not going to be a problem at all. Like I've been hearing like Clipse albums for with the kid like all the time.
Good man.
Juliana is always looking at me like, do you know that at some point you have to going to stop to listen to the songs nearby the baby, right? And no way.
No. We'll go into like ultimate dad mode for a moment. I have a lot of friends that have children around the same age as mine. And when they were sort of growing up, and even now to a certain extent, they don't allow them to like listen to like hip hop music and music with like swearing and stuff like that in. My kid has listened to nothing but that his whole life. I've never put on a censored song, or not put on like an album version of a song because he's there. And I'm happy to sit there and like, if he wants to know what a word means or what a phrase means, I'm happy to sort of sit there and explain it to him. But yeah, man, let the kids enjoy them. We will end up being adults and learning how to use words and swearing, which I do constantly. Yes. So it's like, just embrace it. Get used to it. They're just words.
Exactly. One thing that I always tell Julian is like, we are in Spain. I mean, here in Barcelona, a lot of people understand pretty well English. But every time that I swear in Portuguese, for example, nobody's going to understand. Like if she swears in Portuguese, and if they do, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I always said to my kid, I was just like, you know what the good words are, and you know what the bad words are. Just don't repeat the bad words. Just don't be saying them out in public or to your friends or anything like that. Just, you just teach them the right way. Same as anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like parents that don't let their kids have mobile phones and stuff. And it's like, the phone isn't the problem. It's how you're parenting them. Let them have, it's a great learning tool. If you teach them to use it the right way, they can do great things with it.
Yeah, truly.
Anyway.
Amen. Your kid is very polite. Like his vocabulary is amazing. And we spend like almost 2 days like talking a lot about a lot of things, and he didn't swear once. I don't even remember if he...
No, I've never heard him swear either, I don't think.
Yeah,
he probably does with his friends, obviously, because he's 15 now.
Yeah.
He's turned out all right. He had an iPad from the day he was born. He's had an iPhone for God knows how many years. He's listened to all this like hip hop music and rap music, and he's turned out all right.
Yeah. The mom has to have a lot of, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, probably was the mom that teach the kid to be so polite because...
Yeah, to be fair, I'm like, most of his good behavior probably hasn't come from me.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get off of ultimate dad mode.
Sorry.
No, not your fault. It's probably my fault. And let's just discuss the sort of last point I had in my notes, and that is the hook that we mentioned earlier with Stove God Cooks. It grew on me, as I said. Now I really like it because it's just such a raw kind of hook. Again, really depicting in detail, like the rest of the song, kind of what's going on. And I sort of feel, when I listened back to it the other day, I was watching the video yesterday just on a loop sort of 10 times that I normally do when I'm sort of compiling my notes and stuff. It's got that kind of, and I don't, you can probably tell me, and other people will tell me what Stove God Cooks and his music is normally like, but he's just got that real kind of slow drawl to it, like you'd expect from sort of southern rappers. I don't know where he's actually from. And it makes it almost seem like you're sort of drug induced listening to it. Just like everything just sort of slows down a little bit as he's kind of, doing his hook. And it just gave me that feeling of like, that's, when you're high and the world just, you take certain, there are certain things where things go faster. There are certain things you can take where things go a lot slower. And if you have some of those things that make the world go a little bit slower at times, it just resonates like that with me. It just seems like you're just dozing along, just it's in the background, and the world is just slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, truly. It really makes you feel like the flow, right? It's kind of like, it's like a wave, sort of.
Yeah. Because even like the verses aren't done at a particularly high tempo. It's not a high tempo beat or anything. But he still just manages to slow it sort of down even more. And yeah, it just gives me that sort of feeling. And then again, we're not going to pick out loads of lines, but the one line in there that I really like, with a fetty so strong, you gotta bag it with one eye closed. Obviously a reference to bagging up fentanyl and it being very strong, but also, a play on Fetty Wap, the rapper who only has one eye. Again, just I've heard lots of like Fetty Wap puns and lines over the years. This is probably the best one.
Okay. Yeah, I like how in this album and in this song, and on the hook, you can hear the humor through darkness. I like that.
Yes, but I think you get that through most of the album. I find it is dark, but there are sort of moments of lightness in there as well, and quite sort of funny wordplay as well that they know is quite clever and quite.
Yeah, truly.
All right, should we move on to the next video?
Yes, let's go.
All right, P.O.V. featuring Tyler, the Creator. a man that we know we can just refer to as Tyler. So again, no real details, but video directed by Cole Bennett and released on the 10th of December 2022. I'm pretty sure this was after our last episode. Another sort of excellent track from the album. Pusha and Mal both excellent on this. It's lifted even further by Tyler, and he's got a really good verse. I don't think he quite makes it to their levels with his verse, but it's still a really good effort. Now, we were just talking about the hook of the other track, and it grew on me. This one I'm not too much of a fan of.
Okay. I like it. I still like it.
It's one of those ones, I think in general, I don't like this kind of hook where you've got a male voice doing like a sing-songy type thing that Pusha is doing on this, especially when he goes from a very muted verse or very sort of monotone verse almost to this kind of almost sing-songy hook. I'm just not a fan of that kind of hook on a track. Well written, he performs it well, but just not to my personal taste, I should say.
I think what I like the most is the flow, like how it goes back and forth. I love that, and I think it's my favorite part of the song is the hook.
Really?
Yeah, because the flow is so good. It makes me think about Pusha's flow on Popular Demand. Like, is one of my favorite Pusha's verses and flows ever. And every time these songs comes on, like, I always think about how the flow kind of makes me think about Popular Demand's flows also because it's my favorite. I really like it. And I agree with you about Tyler's verse. I really like his flow, but I think the lyrics, it's not that the lyrics just don't match the level of the verses of Malice and Pusha, but I think it's so different, right? Like the things that Malice and Pusha is saying is really different. Like you can see that, like we already know Tyler's the creator persona, and we know that he never came from this life. It's so different, you know.
Yeah, I think that's where it maybe sort of falls short a little bit, where it doesn't quite reach their levels, just because it is quite a sort of raw verse from him, and he's tried to sort of make it quite dark, but you can never get to those levels of Clipse.
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't, not when you haven't been there and haven't done those things.
Yeah, what I think I'm not judging the song, and I'm not saying the song is bad at all because I love the song. But I think if they do a feature together again in the future, I think Clipse has to go a little bit more to Tyler's word, just a little bit more, so we not feel the same way again,
Yeah, so they can sort of blend a bit more evenly within the track.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's see what they do.
Yeah.
I did see an interview with Tyler where he did mention that he had re-recorded that verse. He says somewhere from 79 to 100 times in order to like perfect it. And then I think in a separate interview somewhere, I vaguely remember him saying like during that sort of period of doing all the re-records and rewriting it, he debated whether he should even be like doing the verse because he felt he was going to like let down his own heroes.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine the pressure? Insane, man.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
That's like, one of us sitting in a studio, well, with Clipse or with Pharrell and them going like, do you want to jump on this? Do you want to write something? It's like, oh, what? God.
Yeah.
I spent my life like singing along to your songs. Now I have to write something that fits in. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, true.
And then I wanted to mention, we touched on it briefly, on Pusha's verse and talking about not doing tracks and verses. Pusha also wanted to scrap his verse on this. This was one of the numerous things on the album that he didn't like. And I don't know if he does like it now.
Yeah.
But the story was he was trying to mimic Guru from Gangstar.
Yeah.
With his kind of flow and his sort of voice, his sort of very flat delivery on his verse, and he was never happy with the result of any of the takes that he did, and he wanted it scrapped completely. And then Malice convinced him to keep it in. And then Malice also says in an interview it's actually his favorite Pusha verse on the whole album as well.
Yeah. I mean, just the entry line on that verse is amazing, man. Such a punchline. Like it hooks you. Like if he just started with this, like what he's going to say next? Who else he's going to punch? Because he's already punched a lot of rappers just with this one line, you know? So good.
Yes, very much so. It does make me wonder, and we may have mentioned this briefly on the last episode, but if Pusha wasn't happy with that verse and he wanted it scrapped, and then also Mike Tyson blow to the face, he says like he wanted scrapped because he didn't like it. Like, what level is he like aiming at?
Exactly.
Like, I am so intrigued to like understand what actually didn't make the album. And like, I want to at some point hear them talk about what they would have possibly replaced those things with, and what other tracks Pusha didn't like, because he said there was a few of them that made the album that he wasn't happy with. So we know like the verse off of this, we know Mike Tyson. So what are the other ones? Because like, it's going to be a Grammy winning album, and it's still not at the level that he wanted it to be at.
Yeah.
So that says to me like that man is now, you know, he's bordering Dr. Dre levels of perfection, you know.
Yeah, truly.
Which may be a good thing. It may mean the next album we get is like amazing, but we also then run the risk of it being like a Dr. Dre, and it's just forever being redone, and it never, you know, stuff never comes out because he's never happy with it, or loads of it like gets recorded and then it gets put in the bin and started all over again, and we never see a lot of stuff. So it could go one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to see that happening, just to see what he's going to deliver for us, you know? But one
Yeah,
question: did he say on the interviews that he 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 did another verse for it
I don't
just
know.
to see? Yeah, I would love to
In the
see that, to hear that.
interview that I saw, he just said he wanted this verse scrapped because he wasn't happy with the result. I'm assuming it was more around how it was being delivered as opposed to like the writing of it.
Yeah, truly.
I wouldn't imagine there's probably lots of different versions of the verse out there in terms of the, you know, the lyrics and stuff. In terms of his delivery and things and how he's what his flow is like and his voice is like, I imagine there's different sort of takes out there. I don't know. Going from what I've sort of seen and heard so far, I imagine they're probably all really, really good. And they would go on to any album that anyone would put out, but he just isn't quite happy for whatever reason.
Yeah. If I have to guess, it's just because I think Pusha is delivering such dark verses with such a dark cadence and kind of like trending, you know? And I think this verse, the flow is so it's not soft, but it's kind of soft, you know. And I think maybe it's that. And one thing that I kind of don't like about the verse is how the verse ends towards to the chorus. It feels kind of weird, like you have a space of emptiness that is kind of
Mm-hmm.
bothering me, you know.
I think it works well. Those kind of little silences and pauses and stuff like that. I think they're sort of done to perfection almost. I think it's
Yeah.
so well produced. I personally, I think it works. Again, we won't sort of pick through all the lines because there are just so many good ones. But one that I wanted to mention was one towards the end of Pusha's verse. And coloured Rolls Royce with like Saudis here. The only Audi driven here is by my Alpair. Ghostface with the wristbird Falconer. Just so good on so many levels, especially the Falconer parts
Yeah.
where he's kind of twisted it from a falcon, the bird, to a falconer, a person who, you know, manages falcons, to falconer, a millionaire made from birds, white, drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Just, yeah, so many different things in there. Just so good.
Yeah, mentioning the Falcon is like it connects with my one of my favorite lines on this track. That is the line, Malice's line that he said, "I was the only one to really walk away and be free," because it's not a really great line, but it's my favorite line because it makes me think about Dave Chappelle. because he is one of the only artists that I know of, and am a huge fan, that he really walked away from everything and came back, and it feels like he's free. Like he's saying whatever he wants. He's making a lot of money, and it connects with the Falcon line because he just put out a special, a Netflix special, and he made a joke about how he was in what is it was a controversy about the people are going to Arabia to perform. A lot of
Also, the
comedians
Saudi Arabia Comedy Festival.
yeah, exactly. And he said that the rich people there, they have falcons just to show off, you know. And he made a great joke about that.
Yeah, falconry, a massive sport over there.
Yeah.
I think, some of those birds, they sell for like millions. The ones that are, great hunters and stuff like that. So yes, we've got that. What did I have? Yeah, then we get to, we then go into Tyler's verse, which we've already kind of talked about. I did notice in the video, Tyler is wearing a replica of Pusha's Lazarus, recent Lazarus chain. Pusha has that really big one he's been wearing, which, the whole face of Lazarus is one massive diamond, and then the whole thing is diamonds. An absolutely ridiculous, obscene, beautiful piece of jewelry. And then Tyler's wearing a version of it, but only in gold with no diamonds. So again, I think it's like, it's his nod to Pusha. It's him trying to sort of emulate him, but at the same time saying like, I'm not at your level yet. Mine's just a gold one for now. I'm not getting like the iced out diamond one, which probably cost millions to make. But I'm trying to be like you and replicate you in a certain way, but I'm just not quite at your level. So I noticed that in the video as well. We should also mention as well, before we get to Malice's verse, the Rock of Fire explosion animatronics that are in the video, which really surprised me, but I thought was a really good addition. Now, like, if you've watched the video and you don't quite know what they are, they're like an animatronic character band that they used to have in like restaurants and diners and things in the US during the 80s and 90s.
It was a pizza place, right?
Yeah, it was originally from a pizza chain, then it kind of expanded out to other places and stuff. And they would just play like, I think sort of like hits from the radio and stuff. And then the animatronics were like programmed to make it look like they were singing the song or playing the song or whatever. So they've obviously done it with this track as well. So, the animatronics have all been programmed. So it looks like they're sort of mouthing the words and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which for such a dark album, a dark track, just makes me laugh whenever I see it. There's one close up of the bear and he rhymes something about Coke or something. And it's just really, really funny.
Yeah,
but
true.
I have to say, it's lucky that business went out of business many years ago, because I think if they'd have wanted that band to be in this video mouthing swear words and Coke rap and stuff like that, and they'd gone and asked for permission, I think there would have been a fairly swift, no, we're not going to let you use our animatronic band in any shape or form in one of your videos, thank you. But I guess because it's gone out of business, they can just use it as they like. So I found that quite amusing. But then we also see, as we get that kind of beat switch and go into Malice's verse, the kind of curtain closes on the band, then it reopens, and all of their kind of skin and everything is gone. It's just the endoskeletons. Yeah, exoskeleton is external. Endoskeletons. So just the internal workings of them. I haven't read any interviews with Cole Bennett or anybody else related to the video, but my sort of take on that was like, Malice's verse is quite sort of introspective, and it's him stripping back the kind of rapper persona to talk about the other, both sides of his life and what he sees as his truth. So maybe it's kind of tying into that. But also, we've got Pusha's kind of comments at the start about seeing through other rappers, other musicians. So maybe it's kind of a slight dig that other sort of rappers and musicians, that they can kind of sit there in a room and look at them and be able to sort of see through them and see past what's on the outside.
Yeah, I kind of read into it just like you. Yeah. And maybe it's like a lot of rappers, like, it's all fluffy and cute on the outside. But
they're just characters.
Just characters, exactly.
But yeah, if anyone else out there has any insights or their own conspiracy theories as to what it might be, then let us know in the comments. Send us a message. What did you think of when you get to the Malice verse and you've got the complete beat switch? Are you a fan of that in a track?
Yeah, truly, man. And I really miss how, because I feel like back in the day, Pharrell used to do that more, like with the Neptunes. And man, I loved it. And especially just kind of like prepare you for what Malice is cooking, like what Malice is about to say. It kind of puts you in a mood even more, like, especially after Tyler's verse, is so uh, kind of uplifting because of the flow. And even when you see the video, like he's get over the table and everything, and when you go back to Malice, the beat switch, and Malice is just sitting there with his face looking like, oh, I'm gonna kill everybody. you know it's so good, man. I love it.
Yeah, I found it was a bit sort of jarring at first when I first sort of listened to it, but it's definitely grown on me and definitely works within this track. I've heard a few people say to me they don't like it. Also, with the track on the album with Nas, there's a beat switch for the Nas verse, isn't there? And I've heard people say they're not sort of a big fan of that. But yeah, for me, it works well. And obviously, like you say, we have seen Pharrell do that in the past, especially on the last N.E.R.D album. They did that a lot. There
But
were
yeah,
quite a few
truly.
tracks where you had those mad beat switches sort of halfway through a
Mhm.
track. But yeah, it works here definitely.
Yeah, I like it. And I think maybe in the future, like Pharrell should try to do that more, especially because it's so like the perspective of Pusha and Malice is so different. Like it works well when they make the
Mhm.
beat switch. No, it's just like now I'm hearing Malice, now I'm hearing Pusha. Not all the time, but it works well with the clips.
Yes, and I think Pharrell and Mike as well working on this and pulling the different parts together. They managed to pick a beat that complements another beat. Because I've heard this on other sort of albums and tracks, and I talked about this with Brent when the last N.E.R.D album came out. If it's done poorly, if those two beats don't complement each other, it can sound terrible. It can sound like a weird, horrible mashup. And it's just like, but Pharrell and Mike and other people in the team tend to be able to pick the right ones that complement each other. It sort of works out really well. And it did on the last N.E.R.D album as well. While you kind of get it in a lot of tracks and it can be a little bit jarring at first, it does work and they do sort of blend together very nicely.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. That's our two tracks. Anything else we want to say?
Yeah, I think this is it. Like beautiful, beautiful video. Also, all the like you said earlier. Like I love how all the videos for this album kind of match the aesthetic, the color, the contrast. It's telling a story. Also, it's not just the lyrics, but if you just see the video, you can imagine what is being said on the song. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I just feel weird when Tyler's get on over the table and started to shake his ass in front of Malice.
Yeah, it was like
But
he,
it's
he was getting sort of Michael Jackson on, wasn't he, for a moment? And it was a little bit weird. But then I sort of found that this video was, out of all of them so far, is the most kind of, it's dark, but it's got those light-hearted parts. It's got the animatronic characters, which are kind of quite funny, mouthing
yeah,
along to the words, and then Tyler dancing on a table, doing Tyler things.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Like doing Tyler things, like his own brand Tyler. So it's weird because he's doing with the Clipse, but it's also like, oh, okay, he's just Tyler. So it's okay.
I'd be intrigued to understand who brought that idea to the director, or it might have been the director. And then who then said to Malice and Pusher, "You're both going to be sat there looking really dark, really moody, like you have in all the other videos." And then Tyler's going to jump up on a table and start dancing around. You okay with that? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, good stuff. Let's move on to some news, shall we?
Okay, let's
We've
do
got a
this.
few bits and pieces. So let's try and whiz through them. Firstly, couple of recent purchases which have just very recently turned up. I will bear with me while I reach over to the side and get the first one. The Voices of Fire.
Ooh, nice.
Vinyl, very nice album, very nice insert with lots of cool artwork. I opted to pay the little bit extra and go for the limited edition, one of 200 signed versions. So,
Nice.
if you're listening to this in a podcast app, I'll make it the chapter artwork. But you pay all that money for a signature, and then you get that.
And the crazy thing is, show it again, please. It doesn't even look like a W. It looks like an N.
I think I got this at the end of the 200 run because that's where he's really rushing it.
Damn, P, you out.
Now, I would like to think he doesn't do a lot of signed merch or anything. We've seen the Clipse do loads of signed merch for this whole sort of run. And we see other artists do it as well. Signed CDs and LPs and T-shirts and whatever. Pharrell doesn't do many.
Yeah.
This album, there were only 200 copies. 200, that's all there were. What's that going to say? I know writing your signature over and over again is boring and laborious. 200 of them. Come on, man. Write your name.
Exactly, man. Come on. Take your time.
Yeah. So, no, it will still go in a frame. It will still go on the wall. But
He deserves.
I was slightly disappointed that, it was just his initials that he'd obviously very quickly done in between two other tasks that he was trying to do at the same time. He's just got, fucking 200 of these. Oh, Jesus Christ. Just scribbled his name really quick.
Yeah, man, you have to think about he got 4 kids. 3 of them are triplets, so the man has a handful.
Nannies and au pairs, and Rocket's 17 or something now, off doing his own thing as well.
Yeah, he's 17?
I think he is 16 or 17, yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. I would like to have hoped that, they would have put a stack of these in front of Pharrell when he's in the office and gone, let's book an hour of his time or half an hour and just write your name on there, please. And he's just gone, fuck. He's gone, fuck this. PW. To the point where you get to the end and they look like mine. And it's like, is that? I genuinely looked at it and I was like, did he sign this? But yeah, there we go. He did.
Congratulations, man. It's still a very good purchase.
Yes. And for the price as well, I think 90 euros, including the shipping from the US. So when I first heard they were doing 200 signed copies, I thought they're going to be $200 or something, 200 euros. But yeah, I think it costs $70, $75, and then 15 or 20 in shipping. Not too bad.
Okay. Yeah, pretty good.
All right. And then my other purchase, my other Pharrell related purchase, I will just get them. Hold on. From the feet of Pharrell to my office in Helsinki. There we go.
This looks awesome, man.
Again, for those listening, these are the Nike Dunk Brazils that I won from the Joopiter auction in December or end of November or something. They took a while to ship out and get over to me, but I've had them a little while now. They've been worn a couple of times. There's some...
But it still looks pretty good.
Yeah, there's some crap on the bottom of them.
Yeah.
And then there's...
Can I see the inner sole?
Yeah, it's almost perfect.
Yeah. Because let me show you. These are mine from 2 years ago, I think, or 3 years ago. Look, the Nike logo is gone.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, so these have got some minimal kind of creasing in the toe box. So they have definitely been worn, but they are still pristine white. So obviously when he's put these into storage, he's obviously used a very good storage facility with, temperature and humidity control and all that sort of thing, because they have not yellowed at all. But I think, there's a few scuffs on them as well. But really good condition. Like I say, probably worn, I'd say 2 or 3 times maximum. I did look to try and find a picture of him wearing them. My God, I went through thousands of pictures.
Man, me too. I tried.
Couldn't find a single one. I think it's because he's probably worn these privately and not out in public.
Yeah.
But I think these come from the time right before he started getting the Bapesters. And obviously the Brazil coloured Bapesters, he wore all the time for about a year. So there's
Yeah.
millions of pictures of him wearing those, but not of the Nikes. So yes, I had to trawl through a lot of pictures, but couldn't find one, unfortunately. So I think, as I said last time, if anyone ever comes across a picture of him wearing this pair of Nike Air Dunks, then please let me know.
Yeah. And I just have to mention that the Brazil Dunks is my favorite Dunks of all time. I have the lows and I have the ones, the highs that Nike did a collab with Supreme with Enemies, and it's my favorite shoes of all time.
I have to say that is why I went for the Brazil ones. Obviously, the Brazil connection here.
Yeah,
So
nice.
I thought if I'm going to focus on a pair, I'll focus on those. They'll be the ones to get.
Cool, man.
And
I'll
then
support
speaking
this.
of, thank you. Speaking of Joopiter, they recently had their pop culture auction. This sort of happened over December, and I think it ended while I was away on holiday, so I didn't get to kind of follow it. But as part of that auction, they had the N.E.R.D multicolored belt buckle again, and then the gold and diamond astronaut pendant and chain as well, which I think were in the original Pharrell auction when they kind of launched Joopiter, but they didn't sell. They didn't meet the reserve, I don't think, or at least I think the astronaut didn't. I thought the N.E.R.D belt buckle sold, so maybe it's somebody that's relisting it. They wanted to put it back in the auction. Unfortunately, I can't find what price it actually sold for. I'm going to keep hunting around and see if I can find it. But they were back in. I think the belt buckle was estimated at like $20,000 to $30,000 or something, and then the astronaut chain I think was like 60 to 70,000, something crazy like that. Again, I don't know if they did sell, if they met their estimates or not, but they were there. Again, I recommend people kind of keep checking out the Joopiter website, because they do have a lot of these auctions coming up kind of quite regularly, as well as stuff that you can just buy as well for like a flat fee. So there's plenty of stuff on there. Did we mention on the last episode about Loic's collection that's on there?
I don't think so.
No,
I
maybe we
think
did.
you
Okay.
mentioned that it's going to come out, but I don't think you mentioned it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know if I did mention it or not. So Loic, I won't even try to pronounce his surname, but most people that follow Pharrell will probably know who he is. You know, he's Pharrell's kind of, I guess, business manager. I think it's like business manager for non-musical projects or something like that. So he still basically runs BBC and works with a lot of other kind of collaborations that Pharrell does. He had a lot of his kind of collection gone to Joopiter as well. So there's Daft Punk Bapesters, there's the Bape N.E.R.D t-shirts, there's the
Amazing.
N.E.R.D Dunks, there's an In Search of album package with the snowboard, which I actually have above me here, and then a kind of collector's edition of the album that was sent out to press, and a hat. There's a bunch of stuff basically. From what I can see, looking at it now quickly, most of his stuff is still available. So these weren't auctioned. They are one of the things that are set at like a set price. Two of the items have sold: a Fox Racing and Supreme collaboration, and then a Bape anniversary box set. But a lot of the other stuff is still there. So there's a Moncler Pharrell collab jacket for $2,200. Like I say, N.E.R.D Dunks, the In Search of package, which I would go for, but it is $5,000, and I've already got the snowboard.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need that. But then the two Bape N.E.R.D t-shirts, they're the Fly or Die ones. There's the dog t-shirt and then the Milo one with all of them on there. They're still there for $750. So that's not a bad price. It is expensive. Those have sold for higher prices in the past. They are still sat there, and they've been there a few weeks now as well. So I don't know if they will sell or whether they'll change any prices. But yes, if you are looking for some, bona fide N.E.R.D memorabilia, then yeah, head over to Joopiter and check out Loic's items that he's got on there at the moment.
He goes as Places in Spaces, right? On Instagram?
Yes,
that guy?
yes, he does.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. And then let's go through some other news quickly. What else have we got? We saw the release of the triple black Jellyfish. It was initially a New York exclusive. It shut down the city. I think the release kind of got cancelled. They had to call the police in and stuff like that. It was one of those raffles. I don't think that was done particularly well, or was done not particularly well, but kind of on purpose to generate all the hype and the media around it. And if I remember rightly, it got shut down. We have also seen them at a recent South Korea pop-up as well. I was told by somebody they are going to release them more widely in 2026, but I don't have any information on the dates or anything like that. But hopefully, yeah, we get the triple black Jellyfish available to people at some point in the near future. Although I still prefer the slightly more colourful versions that we've had so far.
Yeah, 100%.
We also had a BBC Jae Tips collaboration, their third collaboration in the Miami store. Again, some really nice designs, some really nice items. Really great to see Jae Tips getting to collaborate with BBC, you know, a brand that he kind of grew up loving as well, you know, similar to us.
Yeah,
I
true.
don't know if there are still things available from that collection. I know they launched in Miami. I think some were available on the website for a little while. I imagine they're all kind of sold out now, but I just wanted to mention it because it did sort of happen over the kind of Christmas period. Some more Clipse news. Clipse are supporting Linkin Park on the 2026 World Tour. I didn't
That
have
was
that on my
surprising.
yeah, I didn't have that on my bingo card for 2026.
Yeah.
After their own kind of recent world tour, they're now supporting Linkin Park. Okay. So if you are a fan of early 2000s, I don't know what you call Linkin Park, are they emo rock type stuff? I don't even know what they are. Not my sort of thing. But if you're a fan of Linkin Park, or if you're a fan of the Clipse, you want to see them, support them, you can find the dates on the websites already. But it does also look like the Clipse will be on tour themselves this year. They are already confirmed for Flow Festival here in Helsinki.
Yeah.
So I've got my ticket booked already. I was straight in there. So Flow Festival here in Finland is over the course of 3 days. It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We still don't know what day they're going to be performing on, but I have a 1-day ticket where I can pick whichever day I want. So
okay.
I'm definitely going to that. But then that also kind of makes me think that they will also be doing other sort of summer festivals as well this year. So yeah, if you're near somewhere that normally has a festival or you travel to go to one normally, then keep your eyes peeled because I'm sure the Clipse will be popping up at a few around the US and Europe and Asia and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was seeing the dates and the festivals they are going to perform, and one that also catch my eye was one in Portugal, and they are going to do also another one in London, right?
Okay, are they?
Yeah, I think it's in a festival that is Tyler is going to be there also.
Okay, well that'd be good. They
Yeah,
may see some collaboration there then.
and I was seeing all those dates, all those festivals they are going to perform. Even with Linkin Park, they are going to perform in Madrid. Yeah, but with the baby, man, I cannot plan anything, man. I'm just always afraid to book some tickets and not able to do to go or to see it in the future, you know.
We'll work something out. You just got to get the baby on the plane, mate. That's all you got to do. Mate, I know people that fly from here to Asia regularly with like newborn babies or to America and stuff, and like, it's fine. Kids love that shit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we are going to Brazil next month, so it's going to be like the trial traveling with the baby stuff, and just to rip off the band-aid, you know, just to see how it goes.
Going all the way to Brazil, that's like going in at the deep end. So
Yeah,
you'll
it's
learn
like a
quickly.
10-hour. Yeah, it's a 10-hour flight. If it goes well, we're like, okay, we are ready for anything when it comes to flying with a baby. So let's see.
If anyone out there, because I know we were going to do the meet up in Paris last year, which I unfortunately couldn't make, and obviously Rafa didn't make. But while I was in London over Christmas, I did meet James, Super J Doug.
Shout out to
He was telling,
James.
shout out to James as always. He was telling me what a great time they had meeting up over there. There was a little group of them. They all kind of hung out at the show. I think a couple of the guys have also gone over to London since then. They've sort of met up with James and gone out for dinner and done stuff together. So really great that everybody kind of got to do that and meet up. But this summer, if you're looking to travel somewhere and you're looking to see the Clipse in August here in Helsinki, it is beautiful. It is very beautiful. So if anyone wants to kind of join us over here to see the Clipse and whoever else is going to be playing that day at Flow Festival, then, you know, please feel free to get in touch and we can definitely arrange something. And if you're somebody that I actually know, I've got spare bedrooms. No need for hotels.
Look
Wink,
at you.
wink, Rafa.
Yeah. Do you have a baby crib also?
Not anymore, no. I do have a small child-sized mattress, though, that my son has
That's
outgrown. So, you know, we can pile up some books around the edge of it and stuff so she can't roll off anywhere and,
there you go.
yeah,
Yeah.
improvise. Easy.
Let's see.
Kids
Let's
are
see.
easy. Yeah, one of our recent episodes was Kenna. What song did we do? Was it Face the Gun? No.
No. Oh my God. Say goodbye to love.
Say Goodbye to Love. That was it.
My
Kenna
favorite
seems to be
track.
making he seems to be making a comeback recently.
Yeah. I saw that.
Suddenly become very active on social media again. He has released some visuals that he made a few years back for a track that then kind of never got released. He also has a new single out called Massacre, which I haven't yet had a chance to listen to. There'll be a link in the show notes to, you know, go and check it out.
Yeah, meaning
And I hope to check it out this weekend and finally get around to it. But great to see him being a bit more active and currently working on stuff. And he says he's working on lots of new music and visuals and stuff like that. So I'm very much hoping we get a new album from him at some point soon.
Yeah, me too.
If you are in touch with Kenna or if you do follow him, please, for the love of God, DM him and tell him he needs to come on this podcast, because he did a little, you know, ask me anything thing on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. And I've messaged him previously and I messaged him during this and I said, do you want to come on this podcast? Here's all our details. And his reply, his public reply on his stories was, yes, I will. And then something along the lines of, as long as you don't fact check me or something. So I replied back and said, we will not fact check you. You can come and say whatever you want. Please let me know how to get in touch with you and arrange this. And then also I never heard anything back. So if you are someone that follows Kenna, then on either of his pages, then yeah, please do send him a DM and remind him that he needs to come on this podcast, because I would love to chat to him.
Wow, it would be amazing, man.
Yeah. And I'd like to think that if we've got more new music coming, he may want to do a little bit of promotion somewhere and do some interviews and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
let's see if we can convince him in some way. Again, Rafa, I would urge you to utilize your important verified account and
Oh, okay.
slide into
Will
those
do.
DMs, as it were.
Will do.
And then the last couple of bits of news, we've got another batch of Nigo Air Force. He's coming out, or maybe just came out. I don't remember. Let me click the link. The last set weren't that great. They were like the half and half pairs with like the crazy designs on the front of one shoe and then on the back of the other. I
Yeah.
really don't think they sold particularly well. I think they sold out because I remember they were on the Human Made store, I think. And obviously everything Nigo does sell out. But I don't think they got a particularly good sort of reception from sneakerheads. This new pair has a couple of different colorways. There's a forest green and a midnight navy colorway. They look a lot better than the last ones. They are set for release. They were set for release a week ago on January the 1st at select retailers, which I completely missed. So I did not get a pair. But these ones are looking a lot better than the last sort of iteration we saw of the Air Force 3s.
Yeah. I really like the last ones. These ones that is kind of half and half. Like I thought
like?
it was. Yeah, I like the idea.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like it kind of reminds me of, I don't know, Comes the Garçon, you know, like always with some crazy idea, something that is always kind of almost cringe, you know. But I really like the concept and everything, especially because Nigo got a lot of um criticism for not being original for a very long time, and for him to come out with this collab and do something so different, it was kind of like, oh, okay, Nigo still got it, you know?
Yeah, I like the concept to a certain extent, but there was no real storytelling behind it. I did
Yeah,
read some of the marketing blurb where it was like it was influenced by something specific that he's a fan of, some kind of artwork or anime or something like that.
yeah,
But there was like nothing else really to it. Whereas we've seen with other versions of the Air Force 3 that he's rolled out, like amazing marketing and storytelling sort of behind it, amazing visuals and stuff like that. These, and even this new release, again, I haven't seen any marketing really to go with it, with any of it. No kind of storytelling, although the colorways are a little bit better and a bit more kind of sensible, I guess, a bit more sort of standard. There's not really been any sort of drive behind it. It seemed to go from the first few releases, which had all these great visuals and marketing and stuff, and it's just sort of tailed off a little bit, or quite a lot, in fact. So interesting to see what he does next, if anything, with the Air Force 3.
yeah, true. And when I saw these last ones, and I was like, oh, let me see what was the meaning behind it, why he's doing the design like this. And is inspired by when the like pottery, right? When the pottery like breaks down and when they put together, and they put together with gold. So it's kind of like making repair visible, but with gold. So it kind of like when it's broken and when you put together with gold, it makes even better, you know? Like it's the philosophical concept is way better than that I'm trying to explain, but it's kind of like this is the concept, and it's pretty cool.
He's doing a lot of pottery stuff at the moment as well, isn't he? I saw he did like a pottery collection as well. So he's
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, it ties into that and his love
yeah.
of doing that, I guess. And then final bit of news: friend of the podcast, Christopher, now known as Christopher BAP, has his new album Charlie's Son out. It released, I think it was New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, so just over a week ago. Excellent album. I'm biased. He is a friend, and he has obviously been on this podcast. But like, if I wasn't feeling it, I wouldn't be talking about it. And I really, really enjoyed it. Really liked it. It's
Cool.
kind of, as he said to me, it's kind of his, reinvention, I guess. There's some great rhymes on there. There's some really, really good beats. Production value is way sort of better and higher than I expected. Not that I thought it would be poor or anything, but there were just some really good sounds in there. I also do make a small feature on the album. Unfortunately for everybody, I'm not on there spitting bars. I'm not
Damn.
doing my best. I know. I'm not doing my best Pusher impression or anything like that. It's just a voice note from myself that's added in there at the end of one of the tracks. The track is Kyrie Irving, track number,
Okay.
I don't know, 10 or 11 or something, or 9 maybe. I don't know. Kyrie Irving is the track though. So again, there'll be a link in the show notes to go and check that album out. I highly recommend it. It is just a very good album, very easy to listen to with some great production.
Cool. I'm going to check it out. That's good.
Yes, recommended.
In is all platforms. Like I can hear you on
It's
Spotify.
everywhere. Yeah,
Nice.
Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, I guess, all the places. Again, I'll put a link in the show notes, which I think goes to his Instagram, which has links to all the different platforms. But yeah, you'll be able to find it by typing in either Christopher Bapp as the artist or Charlie's Son as the album title.
Nice.
Cool. I think that's it for this week.
Oh, okay. We done it.
Keeping it short and sweet. I've got a football match I want to get to and watch. Quite keen to wrap it up. But no, we've
Nice,
got through
man.
quite a lot of stuff there. So all good.
Perfect.
As always, people, you can find all the links to the things we've talked about in the show notes. Those will be in your podcast app of choice. You can also find them on the website at theothers.net. You can find all of our information, social media pages, and all that sort of stuff as well at theothers.net/about. I'm generally at Steve R. Penny, and Rafa is Sneakartel2. Again, links will be in the show notes. And I think that's it for now. Oh, also, as always, please go to YouTube. Please like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends, all that jazz. we're recording the video of all of these now, so they're all up on YouTube. The audio versions are no longer on YouTube for the most recent versions where we have video. So obviously they don't compete with themselves, but you can go on there and you can find the video version. And then if you don't want to watch our faces, you can obviously just, play the video version and let it run in the background somewhere. And YouTube lets you do that, I think. So you can just listen to us.
Yes, exactly. But please see our faces.
Yes, of course. Come and see us. God. Anyway, that's it from us. We'll hopefully be back in a couple of weeks. Until then, thank you for listening and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.